So when you invest time in yourself as a leader, you are actually investing in your organization. Our tagline is creating better human beings.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Choria. Our guest today gave up a promising career in corporate law to pursue her passion in education. Over the last 21 years, she had held several senior level positions in reputed international schools and management consultancies in India and abroad, in addition to being a senior corporate trainer. A strong believer that it is important to understand each person at an individual level, be it a child, a parent, or for a matter, a teacher. She has always ensured that she is accessible to each and every one of her students so that each student gets to express themselves in their own unique way. Her work has been recognized by several institutions and she has been recipient of several prestigious awards such as SOCHAM Award for promoting ICT and STEM education and Leadership Award for the 9th National Teaching Award from the United Group of Institutions, Noida, to mention a few. Always on the forefront of excellence in leadership, it is worthy of mention that she is being recognized over 100 academic and non-academic workshops at schools, science Olympiads, cultural and sporting events, exhibition, and outstation adventure camps for her students during her distinguished career. We are very proud to welcome Ms. Nindya Saket, Principal, Manav Rachna International School, Noida, UP. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Seema. It's my pleasure.
So, ma'am, first beginning, ma'am, we would like to know something about you and your career in education.
I am an educationist from my heart. I have a professional law degree and I was in corporate, but I wasn't happy there. So I wanted to move on to education, which was what I always wanted to do.
Okay.
So academically, I would say I am a postgrad with a B.Ed degree and also a law degree with me. But when I joined my career in education, I wasn't a B.Ed. So when I left my corporate job, I was offered a job of a principal in Delhi itself. And the school was, a friend of mine was starting the school, so he offered me the job. So that's how I started my career. My first job as a principal only. Then I moved to Dubai and I worked there as a principal again. Came back and now I wanted to know what happens in a classroom. And I also started my B.Ed and I started working in a school as a primary teacher, but was immediately promoted to the coordinator's job. And then I worked there for 7 years, moved on from there to Manav Rachna Changwood as a senior headmistress. And then I was transferred here to Manav Rachna Noida as a principal. So in Manav Rachna itself, this is my 7th year. And in Manav Rachna Noida, this is my 5th year. So this is how my career started. And trust me, I'm very happy as an educationist. And when I was teaching also, I came to know a lot of things that a teacher goes through, a child goes through, and how they connect, what is required. And trust me, those were the best years of my life because I had a very strong bond with my students. So this is how I came into education.
So this is Nindya ma'am. She's just enjoying what she's doing and she's very proud to be an educationist. Going further, ma'am, as I mentioned in the introduction also, you ensure that you're very accessible for students and parents. So how can school leaders, you have so many responsibilities, how can you carve out time and connect with students on a one-to-one basis? And what advantages have you found through building this relationship with the students?
So the work we do at MRIS is considered to be the most important for the growth of our students. So it is all about the time management, I would say. We must prioritize our work and make a schedule to run through a filter asking ourselves, does it really need to be done by me? Does it need to be done by, does it at all need to be done? Or does it need to be done now? So if any of the answers to the above questions is no, that means it's not my priority. It's not in my priority list. So this checklist has been a huge help for me as well in managing my time, and is a great way to grow and empower others too in the organization. When you assign jobs to others, other faculty members, you are actually spreading out your own workload and also empowering people. So when you invest time in yourself as a leader, you are actually investing in your organization and the people you coach and develop. The better I am, the better is everybody around me, and better is the organization as well. So, where the advantages are concerned, there are numerous. I share a very positive and healthy relationship with my students, and through them with my parents. My students freely express themselves without any fears. They express their thoughts to me without any apprehensions, and they trust the teachers and the school as well. So there is a sense of belonging when you have this very open kind of atmosphere in your school. There is a sense of belonging also, and trust me, there are very few behavioral issues in our school. So our relationship help develop self-awareness and improve student mental health as well. And trust me, these strong interpersonal relationships gives a lot of confidence to my students. So I think these are the few advantages of having a very open kind of atmosphere in your school.
Right, so sort of making the child feel like a second home where he is secured, he has a feeling of belongingness, and where he can just share whatever is there in his heart.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So going ahead, ma'am, now we have heard about how beautifully you make the children feel to be a part of the institute by giving them a home-like atmosphere. So now we would like to know, what is the philosophy of your school and what makes it unique?
Okay. So our tagline is creating better human beings. So we guide our students to find their own academic goals, their own academic paths, and we help them to reason, to analyze, and to understand in unprecedented ways. The academic experience at MRIS is characterized by a spirit of academic energy, exploration, and challenge. So we have enriched resources to connect professionally through education. And at MRIS, students explore various ideas by collaborating directly with our exceptional faculty members in a program of study that focuses on interdisciplinary exploration. A student's education doesn't end at the classroom door. We provide an incredible variety of opportunities for students to enhance in class learning and with hands-on experiences, service to the community, and development of leadership skills. So we view education not only as a gateway to personal development, but also as a pathway for improving society. So we do a lot of work on with relation to the society. We spread an awareness amongst the students that it is important to think about others as well. So a lot of work is being done on value-based education.
All right. So as a wonderful school which is standing on the pillars of providing value-based education, creating good citizen, and of course showing the children that what you think you can and where you can actually be, respecting their individuality. So this is Manav Raksha International School all about. Now going ahead, ma'am, what is the importance of a well-balanced curriculum along with academics? How important is extracurricular activities for making our child future ready?
Seema, curriculum has to be very holistic. Gone are the days when we had chalk and talk kind of curriculum, where the teacher was at the center stage and children were just passive learners. Now the things are changing. They're extremely, there's a complete paradigm shift from what it was a few years back and what it is now. So definitely co-curricular and extracurricular activities, they play a major role in building up the personality of a child. So undertaking extracurricular activities has far-ranging benefits than that touch on many aspects of a child's development. Essentially, extracurricular activities allow students to learn something that could stay with them lifelong. So they can be lifelong learners through these co-curricular activities. And these activities also instill skills in them. Some key skills like personality traits are there. They help them to solve problems. For example, I would take an example of a sports person. Supposing there's a child who is very good at sports. So apart from the game, what is it that the child is learning? So child is learning teamwork. He's learning, developing leadership qualities. He's learning problem solving techniques. So similarly, supposing I take an example of a musician. A child is good at an instrument. So what does he learn? He learns perseverance. He learns eye-hand coordination. And above all, they all learn to be creative in life, which is very important for future. And these extracurricular activities also enhances their social skills. Otherwise, this pandemic, if you look at the pandemic, right, the present situation, the social skills are being because children are not able to interact with other children. But these extracurricular activities, even during the online classes, they're collaboratively working so that these communications are happening, the social skills are enhancing, and they are not feeling left out. So it's very important for any school to have a very balanced curriculum wherein all these activities, these skills are incorporated.
Rightly said, ma'am. For a holistic and 360-degree development of a child, we need to have a blend of both, and very wisely planned curriculum is required. So going ahead, ma'am, we were just talking about pandemic. So, ma'am, what, in your opinion, how has pandemic affected academic progress? This virtual learning, how has it affected this academic progress?
Pandemic, I would say, since long, the education system of India had been trying to bring technology to the center stage, and which was not happening because we didn't actually know how to go about it. So for us, the digital learning was giving, research work to the children, having smart boards in the classes, but that wasn't sufficing. So that wasn't enough. This pandemic has actually brought technology at the center stage that we were since long looking for. So the technology, with this technology, the education system has reached globally. A child sitting in Bangalore can take classes from a school in Noida. Like, I'm also having a lot of children who are in their hometowns, who are in far-off cities, who are in Dubai, and who are in Qatar, and they are taking these classes sitting over there. So education system, if I see in the urban areas, it is still going on very well. But I'm a little doubtful about the rural education because I was going through a research work which said that this year there is 35% of dropout, and children are not continuing with their education system compared to last 2 years when we had physical classes happening. So I would say that in urban cities where we have infrastructures, we have professional developments of the teachers, we have facilities, we are able to reach out to children, we have enough resources. But I'm a little doubtful about the villages and children sitting in the rural areas.
So academic performance has hit harshly on these, rural children, and they are like completely left out through studies now. Learning has actually stopped for them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, ma'am, we just spoke about, how technology has revolutionized this very thought that the technology will bring a change in education. So, if this is being integrated, technology and skill-based learning in schools, how would the future entrepreneurs of our country look like?
See, tech skills, they help nurture problem-solving skills in children. The project-centric approach of learning, knowing more and more programming apps, developing digital portfolios, instilling a mindset in children to solve complex problems into more manageable pieces. And according to a study also, 9 out of 10 students indicates that using technology in a classroom would help prepare them for digital future, which is actually the future. And by teaching students skills like PowerPoint, you can help set your students up for success. And introducing instructional technology in the classroom at an age, at a certain age, can definitely help people, students prepare for future digital demands, and they know how to combat future digital demands. So, for example, I would say that artificial intelligence is the in thing now, the machine learning we are talking of. So this shift will definitely help children to become better entrepreneurs in future. They will be able to operate their businesses in a more evident manner than they would do without technology.
All right. So given the technical edge, if the school focuses on honing skills, creativity, and talent of the child, then there is no looking back. The future.
Yeah.
And, there are so many creative jobs coming up these days: YouTuber, Instagrammer, bloggers. So there is whole array of new lines of jobs. So looking at this, we are very hopeful and very positive that there will be less of no unemployment in the country in future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, ma'am, as when I was introducing you, I spoke about how many accomplishments you have. So, we would like to know which one you are most proud of.
Seema, I may sound a little philosophical, but trust me, this is what I believe in. These trophies and these awards are not what matters to me. My accomplishments are when a child on the first day to the school refuses to enter the campus. And after a month, mother comes to me and she says, my child doesn't want to go back home. He's so happy in the school. So when I see my child coming, smiling in the morning, that makes my day. And that is my proudest accomplishment, I would say.
Wonderful, ma'am. So, making children come to learning and making them inclined to learn is what you are most proud of.
Absolutely.
Very, very brilliant thought. So, ma'am, going ahead, ma'am, this brings me to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called Rapid Fire Round. You have to answer in one word only.
One word only?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, this particular question requires 3 words. Name 3 qualities you see in future school leaders these days that we did not have in the past.
All right. So 3 qualities you're talking of. I would say first is the technological shift. Second is acceptance. I've seen that in previous years, the leaders did not have the acceptance. And the third is ability to critically analyze the situations. So these are the 3 qualities in future leaders that I see.
Okay. Now, next question. Name a school principal you admire the most.
There is not a single answer. There is a double answer. One is my own principal of my school, Sister Gertrude, who was my principal when I was a student. And the second one I would say is my mentor and my guide, Mrs. Sanyogita Sharma, who is a director of Manav Rachna Schools now. So these are the 2 principals who completely inspired me. And that's why I'm here in this place today.
Great. So next question, what is the right form of education? One model for all or individualized learning?
I would say differentiated learning, because every child has got his own needs. So if we have a classroom with differentiated learning happening, I think then it would be the best learning model.
All right. What is one thing you would like to change about the present generation?
Run for materialistic things.
Okay. What do children need more today, a teacher or a mentor?
I think both. They need a teacher also to guide them, and they need a mentor also who can mentor them and help them to identify between bad and good and not so good things. So they need both.
Right. Last question of this segment. Should school give homeworks to students?
Yes, homeworks should be given because that's how we assess them. But homeworks should be more creative, not the way generally the schools do, not the copying from the books and notebooks and writing the answers. A more creative way of giving homeworks should be there.
So homework is a yes, but a creative one will definitely be more fun for the student and will enhance learning. So brilliantly answered this segment, ma'am. Great insights in even one words. Going ahead, ma'am, we have a senior professional for now. We would like to know what ma'am does when she's not working. What are your hobbies or sports you're involved in, and how do they help you?
Okay. I'm an avid reader. and not from today. From the child I was in, from the time I was a little child, I was in school. So I have to read to sleep. So I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. Recently, I read a book called as Proof of Heaven, and reading definitely helped me because it not just increases my vocabulary, it not just increases my communication skills, it also helps me in helping children develop a habit of reading. And I'm also fond of writing. I write few excerpts here and there. I write blogs as well. Whereas the sports is concerned, I used to be a sports person, but now I'm not. I'm involved in Zumba and yoga, but as such sports, I'm not involved.
All right, so this is ma'am here who is an avid reader, and to all my viewers, develop reading habit. A reader get to see thousands lives. He lives through those lives when he reads. So developing reading is definitely a big good hobby to have for our children also. And ma'am is also a writer, and she is into Zumba and yoga these days. So this is what ma'am does when she's not working. Going ahead, ma'am, this brings to me to the last question of the day, which is called the viewer's choice question also. So we are going through a period of digital awakening in education. How important is the teacher's level of digital knowledge and understanding within education? And the second part to this question is, how can we make our students digitally savvy through the school curriculum when digital literacy has become the fourth pillar of education today?
Okay. So, Seema, first of all, we must understand that we, the teachers I'm talking of, are the migrants of technology. We were not born in technology. Children are the natives of technology. So the kind of technology they are aware of, even we as school leaders and as teachers, we are not aware of. So looking at the current times, it seems inevitable that the usage and reliance on digital technologies will continue to grow. And technology has enriched our lives with greater convenience, improved access to information, and revolutionized how we work. It has brought in a revolution in the way we used to work. So digital literacy is a key to teaching now. So in order to provide the skills, knowledge, and understanding to the young people, it is very important for our teachers to be tech savvy. And now we can't take out technology from our curriculum. So increasingly and interestingly, digital literacy is becoming the primary form of information transfer and communication. So we all know that reading, writing, and maths, these are the three pillars of education. And now the fourth pillar is definitely digital literacy, or bringing in technology into our education system. But we must also accept, as I said, that students know much more about it than we do. So to keep their interest intact, we need to have a very structured curriculum. Curriculum that should meet the needs of these students. For example, I would say that if I'm teaching an evolution of heart, and previously we used to do it through making a diagram on the board, or maximum we used to have a class, a digital class in a smart board. Through that we used to show them videos or the pictures of it. But now with AI coming in, so we can have AR, VR, virtual images, and the words they can actually touch and see, open the heart, touch it, see it. So this is what will interest and hold the attention of a child. So our curriculum has to be created in a very, very interesting manner to hold the interest of children. Otherwise, children will know how to go about it if the teachers are not trained. So yes, definitely, curriculum has to be very holistic, and it has to be completely embedded with technology, the latest technology that can take place for the learning of the students.
Yeah, and what is the biggest challenge here? Every 3 years, we see a drastic change in the technology. What we were doing 2 years back, it was all redundant today. So absolutely, definitely we have a challenging situation coming in, but our teachers are very, very smart. The way they have pot and brought the learning in through virtual classes, I'm sure
Yes.
whatever be the changes, they will incorporate it in the similar manner.
Absolutely, and it's amazing to see them teaching in a classroom because they are using various apps to
Yeah.
get feedback. For maths, they are using different apps. For English, they are using different apps. So it's amazing when you get into a digital classroom. Trust me, it is awesome to see the kind of applications being used. That means teachers are also exploring various areas to reach out to the children, which is the need of the hour.
Yeah, so we must agree here that technology is making teaching easier, simpler, and better
Absolutely.
at both ends. For students also, teachers also, and even for parents.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, so on this note, ma'am, we would like to end the session here. It was really a wonderful session with you. We got a lot of insights on how drastically we are going to see changes in education post-COVID. We are expecting the schools to be, reinvented completely.
Absolutely. Seema, trust me, the coming years, it's going to be completely technology based. We are not just going to have physical classes. We should explore to have online badges. We should explore to have hybrid badges because now we can't take out technology from our curriculum. So it has already, as I said before, it has already taken a center stage. So the future is definitely digital literacy.
And it's ease out so much. A sick child does not misses out on learning. He can attend the classes from home at his comfort.
Absolutely. True. And now a child sitting in India can reach out to a college in US. He can take us sitting in India only. So this is what is the new thing that pandemic has given to us. And sometimes, these accidents comes out to be our blessings. So it has actually come out as a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and especially for education. We all
Absolutely. True that. So Seema, it was wonderful interacting with you. It was, I really enjoyed all your questions were very balanced and very well formulated. And I enjoyed answering each one of them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I'm sure my viewers are going to gain a lot of insights from this discussion. It was really lovely to have you here.
Hope so. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.